Welcome to Inspiring Change, the podcast where we explore the ideas and innovations shaping our future. I'm Maurice, your main host, and together we'll venture into the intersections of leadership, AI, strategy, and sustainable living. My co-hosts for this journey are Google's AI-powered research assistants from Notebook LM, whom I've named Sarah and David. They'll help guide us through rich stories, deep discussions, and insights that inspire meaningful change. Join us as we uncover not just what's possible, but what's next. This is Inspiring Change.
Ever get stuck on like a problem or something, and then suddenly, bam, the answer just hits you?
Oh, yeah.
Like out of nowhere.
Totally.
That's what we're diving into today, those aha moments. And get this, we're exploring how your brain unlocks that hidden creative genius inside you.
I love it.
We're dissecting this really cool excerpt from a book on emerging technologies, and it zooms in on the neuroscience of creativity.
Okay.
It might sound a little intimidating, but trust me, it's way more interesting than it sounds. So the excerpt introduces us to this artist, Alex, facing a deadline. Imagine her staring at a blank canvas, surrounded by, those crumpled sketches and enough coffee cups for like a week.
Oh, I can picture it. The struggle is real.
Total creative block, right?
It's amazing how often that happens. And not just artists. I mean, it's everyone, right?
Oh, absolutely. So the excerpt goes on to say that Alex decides to take a walk, clear her head, it's nighttime, leaves swirling in the wind, and suddenly, inspiration strikes.
The classic aha moment.
Exactly.
And that's where the neuroscience comes in. While she's on her walk, Alex's brain is kind of like shifting gears.
Right.
Quieting down the default mode network, the DMN. That part that just loves to daydream and get lost in thought.
Oh, right. The one that's like way too active when I should be working, but I'm planning my next vacation instead.
Exactly. And it's funny because the DMN is great for self-reflection and all, but it can be a creativity killer.
Really?
Yeah, because it eats up a ton of energy, like 20% of your body's total energy.
Wow, 20%. Seriously?
No joke. So when Alex steps away from the canvas, lets her mind wander, she's giving her DMN a break. And that frees up mental energy for other things.
Like a sudden burst of creativity.
Exactly.
Okay, so Alex's brain is like shifting out of daydream mode, right? But how does that actually lead to a creative breakthrough? What's the connection?
That is where those alpha waves come in. As the DMN chills out, these slower, more relaxed brain waves, they kind of take over.
Alpha waves. Okay, so what are those exactly?
It's that state you get when you meditate or just close your eyes and, really relax.
So alpha waves are kind of like the brain's creative mode.
You could definitely say that. They create that perfect mental space for aha moments.
Interesting. Okay, now let's talk about those swirling leaves that captivated Alex. What role did those play?
Right. So the second she focuses on them, her brain is basically flooded with dopamine. We're talking 50 to 100 times the normal amount.
Whoa, seriously, that much?
Yeah, it's a massive dopamine boost.
Wow, that's incredible. I always thought of dopamine as, the feel-good chemical.
It is. But it's not just that. Dopamine also plays a huge role in pattern recognition.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it helps us connect the dots, see relationships between things that seem totally random.
I see. So it's like those leaves were always there, but her brain couldn't really grasp their beauty or their potential until that dopamine boost happened.
Exactly. It's like unlocking a hidden door in your brain. Yeah. That's what makes aha moments so powerful. They give us a fresh perspective on things,
Yeah.
Help us make connections that we wouldn't have made otherwise.
So it's like our brains have this hidden creative power just waiting to be unleashed, and dopamine is the key.
I like that, yeah. Like, it's there all along, we just need to figure out how to tap into it.
I like that. So what happens next with Alex? Does she race back to her studio and start painting?
That's exactly what she does. And she gets so into it, she completely loses track of time. She's in what we call a flow state.
Okay. I've heard of flow states, but I always figured that was more for athletes or like musicians,
It's for everyone. Seriously. It happens when we're so absorbed in something, everything else just fades away.
Yeah, like time just disappears.
Right.
I definitely feel that when I'm editing our show, like hours will fly by and it feels like minutes.
Exactly.
So what's happening in the brain during those flow states?
That's where another brain wave comes in, the theta wave.
Theta waves. Those sound familiar. Aren't those the ones associated with like deep meditation?
Exactly. Your brain waves. Experienced meditators can actually increase their theta wave activity by, get this, 900%.
900%? Are you serious?
Yeah, that's not a typo. 900%.
That's wild. But what are these powerful theta waves doing in our brains when we're in a flow state?
Now we're getting to the heart of how creativity works,
Uh.
right? When we're in a flow state, our neurons start firing together in sync, kind of like a perfectly synchronized orchestra.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think I get it. So it's like our brains are, I don't know, it's like they're hitting peak performance, but in a way that unlocks this creative thinking.
Exactly. It gets even cooler, though.
Okay, tell me more.
This synchronized neural activity, it strengthens those pathways in your brain and creates brand new ones.
So it's like what? Like going from dial-up to super fast internet.
Exactly. Your brain becomes a creativity superhighway.
Okay, I love that analogy. So every time we're in a flow state, are we basically rewiring our brains for the better, making them more creative?
That's the general idea. It's called neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, that sounds intense.
It's one of the most amazing things about the human brain. It means our brains are always adapting based on what we experience.
That's incredible. Okay, so that's how we boost creativity, but what about that whole losing track of time thing? I know Alex pulled an all-nighter, but is that how it usually works?
Ah, good question. That's another fascinating thing about flow states. When we're totally engrossed in something, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, that's the part responsible for our sense of time, it takes a break.
Wait, so our internal clock just stops working?
It's like our brains are so focused on the task at hand, they kind of forget to keep track of time. That's why hours can feel like minutes when we're in the zone.
Wow. That's incredible. I feel like I'm learning so much about how my brain works. Okay, but what about after a flow state? Like after I've had a really productive creative session, I always feel amazing. Is there any science behind that, or am I just easily amused?
No, you're definitely onto something. There's a reason you feel so great after, like, a creative burst. As Alex is finishing her all-nighter, her flow state starts to fade, and her brain gets this wave of feel-good chemicals.
Like what? Tell me more. I'm all about those good vibes.
We're talking a potent cocktail of endorphins, those natural painkillers, mood boosters, and anandamide, sometimes called the bliss molecule, because it brings on these feelings of happiness and well-being.
So our brains are basically like rewarding us for being creative.
That's one way to look at it.
Sign me up. But these good feelings, they don't last forever, do they?
You're right, they don't last forever in the moment. But the best part, they have these long-term benefits for our mental and emotional well-being.
Oh, that's even better.
Research actually shows that people who experience flow states regularly, they report a 23% increase in overall life satisfaction.
Wait, 23%? That's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's not just about feeling good right then. It's about living a more fulfilling life overall.
I love that. Okay, so if flow states are this great for our creativity, our mood, and our overall well-being, how do we tap into them more often?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right, and I think our source today might have some answers. So how do we actually unlock those flow states? Like, what's the secret formula?
Well, it's less about a secret formula and more about, like, some practical tips.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
All right, the first one is all about finding those pockets of quiet time during the day.
Okay, so like meditation.
It could be, but it doesn't have
Okay.
to be just meditation,
What else?
Remember how Alex's walk helped her brain shift out of that DMN overdrive into a more creative zone?
Right, just letting her mind wander.
Exactly. It's about those moments of just quiet observation.
Huh, interesting.
Give your brain a chance to, like, declutter and make unexpected connections.
I like that.
It really doesn't have to be anything fancy,
Yeah.
Even just sitting quietly for a few minutes can make a difference.
Yeah, sometimes those simple things are the best, right? Okay, what's tip number 2?
This one's about pushing your boundaries a little. Not too much, but just enough.
So like a healthy level of challenge.
Exactly. The book actually puts a number on it. It says tasks that are about 4% beyond your current skill level are the sweet spot.
4%. Okay, so just a bit outside my comfort zone, but not so far out that I'm totally lost. Gotcha.
Exactly. Like, think of it like a good workout, but for your brain, right?
Challenge without burnout. I like it. All right, what's next?
This one's huge, especially these days, creating distraction-free zones.
Ugh, don't even get me started. The constant notifications, emails, it's like my brain never gets a break.
I feel you. And all that task switching, it comes at a price,
Seriously, how so?
Every time you switch your attention, it can take, get this, 23 minutes to regain, like, deep focus.
Which 23 minutes? Seriously?
Yeah. It's no joke. That's why it's so important to create those distraction-free spaces. Like, picture Alex in her studio late at night, totally immersed in her work. No phone, no internet, Nothing. Just pure focus.
So it's time to ditch the multitasking, huh?
For real.
Oh.
Okay, tip number 4 might seem obvious, but it's crucial. Make sleep a priority.
Okay, so maybe pulling an all-nighter like Alex isn't always the best strategy for creativity.
Yeah, probably not the best long-term plan. Might have worked for Alex that one time. But remember, when you sleep, your brain is busy, like consolidating memories, clearing out toxins. It's hitting the reset button so you can function at your best.
So getting enough sleep is basically like giving our brains the fuel they need to be their most creative selves.
Exactly. And finally, the 5th tip for boosting flow, change up your environment.
Like how Alex took that walk.
Precisely. Sometimes all you need is a change of scenery, to kind of shake things up and see things with fresh eyes.
It's so true. Like when I'm feeling stuck, just moving to a different room or working outside for a bit can really help.
See? It's like giving your brain a physical reset to jumpstart that creative process.
Exactly. And the best part is it doesn't need to be anything crazy, right?
Nope. It could be as simple as, like you said, moving to a different room, spending some time outside, maybe even just rearranging your furniture.
I love how these tips are so practical. It's not about achieving this mystical state of mind. It's about these small conscious choices that help our brains tap into that natural creativity.
Absolutely. And we all have that power within us. That's what I find so empowering about understanding the neuroscience behind it all. We're not just at the mercy of some random creative force,
Yeah.
We can learn how to cultivate these aha moments,
Wow.
unlock our full potential and live richer, more fulfilling lives.
I love that. So just to recap, quiet time, challenging tasks, no distractions, prioritizing sleep, and changing our environment. 5 surprisingly simple but super powerful tools.
But what's really cool?
I did that.
While this excerpt focuses on, visual art, like with Alex, these principles, they apply to basically every part of our lives.
Wait, seriously, so it's not just about artistic creativity. We can use this for anything.
Yeah.
So it's like taking this knowledge about how our brains work and not just understanding it, but actually using it to live a more creative, more engaged, and more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that incredible human capacity for creativity. It's not some magical gift. Some people have it and some people don't. It's in all of us, just waiting to be unleashed. And now you've got the tools and the knowledge to do just that.
This deep dive has been seriously eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of not just how my brain works, but how to make it work for me, I feel inspired and energized and ready to unlock some flow states of my own.
That's what we like to hear. And remember, it's not about being perfect or becoming some, productivity machine. It's about approaching each day with that sense of curiosity and playfulness and giving yourself permission to really get lost in the things you love.
I love that, yeah.
Both big and small, Who knows what you'll create along the way?
So true. Well, on that note, a huge thank you to our expert for, being an expert and for sharing these incredible insights with us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the amazing world of creativity and the brain. We'll catch you on the next episode.